20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought this, but now we do have Oscar winners all asking to be a part of the film. It's bizarre.
Fast and Furious fans have spent decades pulling apart every scene, every expression, and every decision tied to one of the franchise's most iconic characters. Yet Vin Diesel has now revealed something hidden in plain sight, something fans never managed to pinpoint. His confession shines a light on a detail that has quietly shaped Dominic Toretto's journey from the very beginning. Could this be the key to understanding the saga in a completely new way? Beneath the roaring engines lies a truth that may shift everything. Stay tuned, because what follows may leave you stunned. The core mystery unveiled. Vin Diesel's character in the Fast and the Furious franchise has been a centerpiece of the series since the very beginning, capturing fan fascination and fueling decades of discussion. Yet, despite all the screen time and depth given to Dominic Toretto, there has long been an underlying mystery about who he really is beneath the tough exterior. Fans everywhere have speculated about hidden facets of his personality, motivations, or even his backstory that always seemed just out of reach. This enigmatic quality created an aura that kept audiences hooked, wanting answers that the films only hinted at but never fully explained. As each sequel expanded the universe, the questions surrounding Dom expanded with it, broadening the scope of the mystery rather than narrowing it. Over the years, subtle clues and cryptic lines have fueled a wealth of theories. Was Dom strictly a family man, or was there a darker side lurking beneath? Could there be a secret that changes everything we thought we understood about his drive and loyalty? The mystery wasn't just about plot twists, but about the very essence of what made him Dom, a character whose strength, vulnerabilities, and values were compelling yet partly concealed. These questions kept fans obsessing over every scene, searching for moments that might crack open the truth. Even casual moviegoers found themselves rethinking earlier storylines once new installments dropped fresh hints. What makes this mystery particularly captivating is how it threads through the entire franchise, even as new elements like espionage, crime, and redemption arcs get layered on. The character has evolved, yet this core unknown has remained intact, like a hidden engine powering the narrative from behind the scenes. It's almost as if the filmmakers deliberately held back the full picture, building intensity and speculation with every sequel. This narrative decision turned Dom into more than just an action hero. He became a legend wrapped inside the story, with something crucial left unsaid. The unanswered nature of his past created an emotional undercurrent that many viewers felt without realizing why. Recently, Vin Diesel himself has hinted at revealing insights that could finally lift the veil on this long-standing puzzle. His comments have triggered a fresh wave of excitement, promising clarity on a topic that many believed was locked away forever. The question now shifts from what the mystery is to when and how it will be fully unveiled, and what impact that revelation might have on the franchise's future. Fans sense that the answers will not just clarify the past, but reshape how future narratives unfold, perhaps recontextualizing iconic scenes or altering relationships we thought were set in stone. And with anticipation rising, the journey toward understanding Dom's origins becomes even more essential, drawing us toward the hidden forces that shaped the man we thought we knew. The making of Dominic Toretto. Vin Diesel's entry into the role of Dominic Toretto came at a time when street racing culture was just breaking into mainstream consciousness. The Fast and the Furious film, released in 2001, aimed to capture that raw underground energy, blending it with family drama and thrilling car chases. Dom was conceived as a man of contradictions, a fierce competitor with a strong moral core, loyal to his family but operating on the edge of the law. This duality set the stage for a character who could evolve with the franchise, allowing Vin Diesel to add layers of charisma and nuance. Audiences were immediately drawn to the complexity, sensing that Dom's persona was intentionally built with room for growth. Casting Diesel proved pivotal. Known then, but not a superstar, his intensity and natural stoicism aligned perfectly with the vision for Dom. Creative forces behind the film saw in Diesel an actor who could bridge toughness with emotional depth, turning Dominic Toretto from a simple genre archetype into a magnetic lead. Diesel's portrayal added authenticity, making the family themes resonate deeply, even amid roaring engines and high-speed pursuits. The character's core values were clear: family first, but the ways those values would manifest remained flexible for storytelling purposes. This adaptability allowed later films to stretch the boundaries of Dom's identity without breaking the foundation laid in the beginning. The process of character development involved taking into consideration the name, background, and relationships of the character to create the maximum dramatic potential. Dom's relationships with his sister Mia, his love interest Letty, and his crew were all meant to highlight loyalty and trust as the main aspects of his character. Still, there was a chance to show the character's darker or more complex side, depending on the direction the plot would take. In the very first interviews, it became clear that Diesel and the directors regarded Dom as a man who had endured a lot and adhered to a strict moral code, thereby raising the question of what this past might reveal. The planting of these narrative elements made it easy for fans to come up with various theories about the plot very early on, even before the theories became widespread. The character's iconic status can be attributed mainly to the combination of intentional ambiguity and deliberate depth. Instead of offering the audience a familiar hero in the form of Dom, the franchise lets the mystery envelop him, thus inviting the viewers to get acquainted with the hidden aspects of his life. The complexity that was not so overtly revealed became a hallmark of the franchise's storytelling, and one of the reasons for its universal appeal and cultural influence. Little by little, the audience was able to see Dom's life as a puzzle, and each tiny hint provided by the films became their driving force. The result was a representation of a man whose life was not only a series of events, but also a story that had its darkness behind it. The thrill was not merely the result of the story, but also the impact of Diesel, who, for a long time, due to his very nature, has been giving that mystique in interviews and public appearances. He has certainly dropped the very hints to the fans that there is much more to Dominic than what meets the eye, and at the same time, never letting go of the character's legendary status. This double whammy of character and audience engagement has magnified the central mystery, turning it into a trait that is unmistakably associated with the franchise's mythos. And with that foundation established, the stage was set for a new player in the evolution of Dom's mystique, the fans themselves, whose theories would soon take on a life of their own. Theories that fueled the legend. Speculation also extended to symbolic themes, such as the idea that Dom's relentless focus on family was a coping mechanism for personal loss or guilt. Fans aligned these theories with moments in the films where Dom appeared haunted or conflicted, adding layers of psychological complexity. This approach gave the franchise a mythic quality, turning Dom into a character who represented more than just physical strength, but emotional and moral struggles as well. The blend of action with this psychological depth kept fans invested far beyond typical blockbuster fare. By grounding their theories in observed behavior rather than wild conjecture, viewers created interpretations that felt plausible within the world of the films. Online forums and fan communities became hotbeds for dissecting scenes and lines that could support or refute these theories. Some fans pointed to early film details, like cryptic conversations or fleeting facial expressions, as clues. This grassroots analysis deepened the engagement with the mysteries surrounding Dom, turning fans into amateur detectives. The collective desire to uncover the truth grew steadily with each sequel, making the eventual revelation all the more anticipated. The community dynamic created a sense of shared discovery, strengthening the franchise's cultural footprint beyond the screen. What made these theories particularly compelling was how they fed into the ongoing narrative of the franchise, influencing subsequent storylines and character development. Writers sometimes responded to fan speculation by including subtle nods, or plot shifts that kept the questions alive. This interplay between creators and audience created a dynamic storytelling environment where the mystery evolved organically. Fans became part of the storytelling process through their theories and discussions. The franchise thus grew in two directions at once: the official narrative and the parallel universe of fan interpretation. Vin Diesel has occasionally hinted in interviews and social media posts that fans are on the right track, but haven't seen the full picture yet. These comments served as tantalizing teasers, fueling more curiosity without spoiling the surprises ahead. The ambiguity maintained a sense of excitement and wonder, underpinning the franchise's longevity. It became clear that whatever Diesel was about to reveal wouldn't simply close the book. It would open new chapters of understanding. His hints acted as breadcrumbs, guiding speculation without confirming or denying it. Fan theories extended to character relationships as well, especially between Dom and other key figures like Brian O'Connor and Letty Ortiz. Questions about trust, loyalty, and betrayal punctuated discussions and deepened dramatic tension. These ideas kept discussions lively and ensured that the mystery surrounding Vin Diesel's character endured as a central talking point among the franchise's large global audience. Fans were no longer just interpreting Dom, they were unraveling the emotional architecture of the entire cast. As the web of fan speculation continued to expand, anticipation grew for a definitive statement or revelation. Everyone wanted to know if Diesel's own words would confirm, deny, or reshape the intricate theories that had taken hold. The moment of clarity, when it would finally come, promised to be one of the most significant for the franchise and its devoted fan base. As the shadows begin to lift on the secrets held for so long, we step closer to uncovering the truth behind one of cinema's most enduring characters. Behind-the-scenes insights. Vin Diesel's embodiment of Dominic Toretto was not simply the result of a script and camera. It was shaped by his own passion and input behind the scenes. From early on, Diesel took a hands-on approach to developing Dom's personality, ensuring that the character was more than a typical action hero. He brought a depth of personal understanding to Dom's focus on family, loyalty, and honor. Concepts Diesel has often emphasized in interviews as core to the character's identity. This dedication helped create an authenticity that resonated strongly with audiences worldwide. Throughout the franchise's production history, Diesel's influence extended beyond acting. He became an executive producer on several sequels, giving him creative control and a stronger voice in how Dom's story unfolded. This role guaranteed that the character's essence remained consistent. Even as the narrative grew more complex, Diesel worked closely with writers, directors, and fellow cast members to fine-tune Dom's arc, blending the emotional with the exhilarating, making sure Dom stayed true to his roots even during high-stakes action scenes. The chemistry Diesel developed with his co-stars also played a significant role in shaping Dom's relationships on screen. His close friendships with actors like Paul Walker helped bring genuine warmth and tension to the story, particularly between Dom and Brian O'Connor. This off-screen bond translated into compelling performances that deepened the narrative's emotional impact. Diesel often credits these real connections for helping him bring vulnerability to Dom, a dimension that made the character more relatable and multidimensional. In interviews, Diesel has shared anecdotes about his preparation for various scenes, emphasizing Dom's internal struggles and motivations. He portrayed Dom not just as a fighter or leader, but as someone constantly grappling with past trauma and the heavy burden of responsibility. This approach allowed Diesel to infuse subtlety into his performance, enriching moments that might otherwise have been straightforward. Fans may not always recognize these nuances at first glance, but they contribute quietly to the mythos surrounding the character. Diesel's vision of Dom also involved balancing toughness with tenderness, especially through themes of family. He insisted that Dom's fierce loyalty was what ultimately made him heroic, rather than relying solely on physical prowess or bravado. This focus elevated the story from high-octane spectacle to a character-driven saga. Insisting on this contrast kept the franchise from becoming just another action series, grounding it in values that inspired millions of fans to connect emotionally. On the set, Diesel's dedication to keeping himself in good physical condition and to doing all the stunts himself made the character of Dom even more convincing as a strong presence. He was the one who did the training for a lot of the action scenes, and his participation was in a very realistic way that only a few actors can do. By allowing himself to be double for some of his stunts, he made the films able to show the truth that is rarely found in the big-budget franchises. The credibility in the actor's movements and facial expressions added to the character's persona, and thus, the empire of a complex and strong hero was built around him. Besides that, the role was considered a great platform for Diesel to communicate his thoughts about identity and strength. He would often compare Dom's progress to a personal and universal struggle that humankind goes through daily, such as loving what you are and defending your corner. It was through these constantly validating themes that he unwittingly turned the character of Dom into his so-called autobiography, though still with great detours in the form of car chases and international spying. Such personal insight made Dom more than just the typical hero, closer to the actor's and character's journey intertwined. Eventually, Diesel's participation made him the caretaker of Dom's legacy. He was very meticulous in handling the direction of the franchise, thus the character would not only survive, but also grow without losing the essential traits that the fans loved. This kingship allowed the disclosure of Dom's true character not to be just another twist in the plot, but a carefully thought-out part of the overall scheme. Diesel's off-screen commitment was a major factor in presenting the coming revelation in a manner that was respectful of the character's intricacy. An actor's and character's strong bond had set the scene for the day when Diesel would finally reveal what the audience had been waiting for, a disclosure that would be like a turning point for the whole saga viewed through its most mystifying character's perspective. The hype was as much about Diesel's close comprehension as it was about the tale itself, and when Vin Diesel spoke out, what he shared would redefine Dom's character and the broader Fast and Furious universe like never before. The reveal, what Diesel shared. The moment Vin Diesel finally addressed the core mystery behind Dominic Toretto sent waves through the fanverse and beyond. At a major press event, Diesel spoke candidly about a central truth concerning Dom's identity and motivations that had never been explicitly stated on screen. This disclosure illuminated years of subtle hints, giving fans a lens through which to understand the man behind the wheel better. Diesel's words confirmed that Dom's story was purposefully layered with hidden meaning from the start, designed to challenge traditional hero archetypes. One of the key points Diesel revealed was how Dom's fierce loyalty to family stems from a profound personal loss and a sense of redemption. Though this backstory had been alluded to in scattered moments across several films, Diesel's clarification was the first time the franchise acknowledged the full weight of Dom's past tragedies. It explained why certain choices and sacrifices Dom makes carry such emotional gravitas, and why his family-centric worldview governs so much of his behavior. This insight transformed Dom from a simple action hero into a man shaped by complex emotional forces. Diesel also touched on an unexpected element that fans had rarely considered: Dom's internal struggle with his own identity and legacy. He described Dom as someone burdened not only by external conflicts, but also by profound questions of who he is beneath the surface. This added dimension provided clarity for previously ambiguous plot points and character decisions that fans had long debated. It painted Dom as a figure in search of both justice and self-acceptance, deepening the mythos surrounding him. In discussing Dom's journey, Diesel emphasized that the character's toughness masks vulnerability, a vulnerability that is both universal and relatable. He explained that understanding this duality is crucial to appreciating Dom's significance within the franchise. This revelation encouraged fans to reinterpret Dom's actions with greater empathy, rather than viewing him solely through the lens of action and bravado. The actor also revealed that much of the narrative ambiguity about Dom was intentional, a deliberate choice, guided by the franchise's evolving story arcs. By withholding certain details and cultivating mystery, the filmmakers maintained suspense and audience engagement over 2 decades. Diesel confessed that this approach was risky but necessary to build a character whose complexity could sustain a long-running series. Fans could now see the method behind the storytelling, appreciating the craftsmanship that had preserved intrigue. Another significant part of Diesel's revelation concerned Dom's role not just as protagonist, but as moral compass within the story world. Diesel articulated that Dom is meant to embody themes of forgiveness, loyalty, and resilience, serving as an anchor amid escalating chaos in newer installments. This framing recasts the series' more extravagant elements as tests of values, with Dom's choices symbolizing larger human struggles. The reveal underscored that behind every spectacle lay a character-driven story about identity and connection. The disclosure also touched on Dom's relationships, particularly with Brian O'Connor and Letty Ortiz. Diesel acknowledged that those bonds were foundational to Dom's evolution, but often complicated by unspoken truths and internal conflicts. Understanding these relationships through the lens of the reveal enriches their significance, making the emotional stakes clearer and more poignant. It explained the deep loyalty and tension that fuel much of the series' drama. Fans learned that the reveal was crafted not to close the book on Dom's character, but to open new avenues for growth and storytelling. Diesel made it clear that the franchise would continue exploring the complexity unveiled, promising more layers and surprises in future chapters. With this newfound clarity, the saga gains a richer dimension, transforming how we understand Dom and the world he inhabits. Impact on franchise continuity. Vin Diesel's revelation about Dominic Toretto introduced a significant shift to the Fast and Furious franchise, prompting creators and fans to reconsider the long-running storyline through a more unified emotional lens. With this new insight, subtle motivations and previously ambiguous moments in Dom's journey gained clarity, helping audiences interpret his actions with a deeper understanding. A franchise known for its spectacle suddenly carried a stronger internal cohesion, anchored by the emotional depth now associated with Dom's identity, values, and personal code. One of the most notable impacts was how the revelation redefined Dom's relationships, particularly with Brian O'Connor. Their bond has always served as the franchise's emotional core, but the new context enriched their dynamic. Dom's shifting behavior toward Brian, protective at times, distant at others, now reads as a reflection of his internal battles rather than narrative inconsistency. The reveal elevated their friendship into a more layered exchange built on trust, redemption, and unspoken emotional parallels. Dom's connection with Letty also became more resonant. As both his partner and longtime confidant, Letty's significance grew under the light of Dom's vulnerability and deep need for belonging. The revelation clarified the emotional weight behind Dom's choices involving her, especially his determination to protect her or restore what was lost. What once felt like dramatic plot tension now emerged as a natural extension of their shared trauma and enduring loyalty. Narratively, the franchise's frequent intersections between family loyalty and criminal entanglements became more thematically grounded. Understanding Dom as a character wrestling with legacy and buried inner conflict reframed many of his confrontations and alliances. Scenes once centered purely on adrenaline gained symbolic weight, emphasizing themes of identity, moral struggle, and the cost of loyalty. This added depth strengthened the saga's evolution from action series to modern mythic storytelling. The world-building process also developed under this new context. The characters were no longer viewed as only the villains, allies, and support, but in terms of Dom's changing story. The moments that were once easily missed became more important when looked at through his personal code. The whole franchise was starting to feel more interconnected story-wise, where every single part added to the larger, more unified story arc. This change also gave a clearer path to the writers for the future. Now storylines could grow without losing touch with Dom's complexity, which would create space for new conflicts that resonate with the emotional core of the franchise. The reveal also played a part in making the past criticisms related to inconsistencies less strong, reframing some of the gaps as deliberate reflections of Dom's internal struggles rather than mistakes. Thus, continuity was upheld without the need to discard the existing canon. Thematically, the franchise's emphasis on family acquired a different layer. Loyalty, which in the past was represented as simple and direct, turned into a more complicated investigation of forgiveness, sacrifice, and emotional inheritance. The personal revelations of Dom provided the foundation for these themes, granting the saga its most unified message so far. In the end, Vin Diesel's perception changed Dominic Toretto from a legendary action hero into a deeply human character whose path is reflective of the struggles of human nature. This transformation invites the viewers to consider the franchise's emotional story as the main reason for their participation rather than just the flashy events. The shift in narrative depth sparked an intense wave of public and media reaction, reflecting the profound connection fans have with Dom's story. Fan reactions and media response. Vin Diesel's revelation about Dominic Toretto sparked an immediate wave of astonishment, admiration, and renewed passion across global fan communities. Online forums, reaction videos, and social media threads lit up as viewers dissected every detail, treating the moment as a milestone in the franchise's cultural history. Many longtime fans expressed gratitude, saying the insight added emotional depth to a character they had followed for nearly 20 years and strengthened their connection to the franchise. For many, the revelation made Dom feel more human, relatable, and complex. Fans revisited earlier films with fresh eyes, finding new layers in scenes that previously seemed straightforward. Traffic surged on fan sites and discussion boards as theories blossomed regarding how this deeper understanding might shape future installments. The emotional investment was palpable, reigniting excitement across the fandom. Media outlets quickly amplified the impact. Entertainment publications, blogs, and mainstream news platforms analyzed the significance of Diesel's disclosure and its implications for the Fast and Furious saga. Commentaries explored how this new information reshaped Dom's narrative arc, while interviews with cast and creators emphasized the importance of storytelling evolution within a long-running franchise. The widespread coverage underscored the moment's relevance far beyond traditional action movie audiences. Critics responded with notable enthusiasm, regarding the revelation as a bold step that infused the series with renewed narrative sophistication. Many praised the franchise for demonstrating that blockbuster action films can expand into character-driven storytelling with emotional and thematic weight. The shift was seen as a sign of maturity, proof that the franchise could push beyond spectacle without abandoning its roots. Still, a portion of fans worried that a deeper character focus might overshadow the fast-paced action that originally defined the series. Concerns arose about losing the adrenaline-heavy tone that made the film's global hits. Yet even skeptics acknowledged that a stronger emotional core could enhance the action rather than replace it, offering a richer viewing experience. Across social media, the emotional resonance of the reveal was unmistakable. Fans shared memes, art, edits, and heartfelt posts celebrating Dom's vulnerability and moral complexity. These expressions reflected how deeply the character's themes of loyalty, struggle, and family resonate with audiences. The revelation revitalized fan creativity, inspiring reinterpretations of classic scenes and speculative narratives, exploring how future films might incorporate this new dimension. Industry observers also took notice, framing the moment as an example of how franchise filmmaking can embrace character depth while maintaining mass appeal. Diesel's decision to reveal more of Dom's inner world demonstrated the power of narrative evolution, influencing conversations about storytelling strategies across the blockbuster landscape. With the fanbase awakened and the media abuzz, the franchise looked ahead, to how this newfound clarity would shape its future adventures and challenges, legacy, and what lies ahead. Vin Diesel's revelation about Dominic Toretto has reshaped the character's legacy and expanded future possibilities for the Fast and Furious franchise. Dom has always represented more than action. He embodies family, redemption, and identity in ways that resonate across generations. This new perspective reinforces his cultural significance and sets the stage for stories that blend emotional depth with the franchise's trademark spectacle. The revelation invites creators to delve further into Dom's inner journey, balancing explosive set pieces with richer character exploration. Themes highlighted by Diesel, legacy, vulnerability, forgiveness, offer pathways for more grounded and resonant storytelling, meeting modern audiences' desire for both heart and high stakes. This evolution can keep the franchise fresh while preserving its core appeal. Dom's legacy has an effect on the evolution of the supporting characters. Letty, Mia, and the characters that have been friends or enemies for a long time can have their arcs be more complex and connected to Dom's changing self. Their relationships that are characterized by loyalty, trust, and conflict are the perfect ground for the new emotional stakes to be raised, which will both pay tribute to the past and enlarge the narrative scope. Apart from the character development, the reveal gives a hint about the wider thematic shift. The franchise is ready to incorporate mythic undertones and personal meaning that are more profound into its world building. The action will still be at the core, but it might be portrayed through more contemplative storytelling, which can set a precedent for other franchises that deal with the same issue of how to balance spectacle with humanity. Subsequent parts might go back to the past and give it a new light, or even go deeper into Dom's history that was never touched before. The universe could become more interlinked and character-driven, thus giving birth to spin-offs, sequels, or prequel series. Diesel's double position as an actor and producer makes sure that this direction is always in accordance with the values that defined Dom in the first place. With the saga expanding worldwide, bringing in new characters and settings, the emotional core of the story will always be Dom's legacy. A dedicated audience is always there to support and welcome these changes, which in turn gives more confidence in taking bold, artistic risks. According to Diesel, this does not mean that the story is over. Instead, it gives more energy and lasts longer, thereby generating new write-ups that will match the quality of one of the most persistent icons in the cinema. Vin Diesel's revelation brings a bold new perspective to Dominic Toretto's evolution, highlighting layers of heart, conflict, and unbreakable loyalty. If this breakdown hit the mark, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and keep the momentum going by tapping the next video shown on the screen.